Do we, take new bets and do so with urgency? Or do we hold on desperately to what we have? I think unfortunately for decades, it was choice two, and so then it becomes this zero-sum game that you're all trying to hold on to. Uh, I was born in 1982 and Buffalo had bottomed out by that point, and the
I'm
lens that
82 also, Pete. We're the same age.
yeah,
Didn't know that.
yeah, and and like I think like when I look, that's important because like Kyle and I lived through, and you too, Danielle, of like a slow at first upward movement because it already gone to its lowest point, and then an increasingly improving environment. And I think that's a powerful differing lens than, my parents' experience was, because, uh, I see things with more of an optimistic, forward thinking, bent to it. And that's one of the things I'm encouraged about, as we're having folks of our peer set step into leadership roles, now that have some of that mindset. And also, in this last dozen years, this is also aligned with a much more entrepreneurial activity in Buffalo and people seeing the rewards of that, both in terms of dollar investments, kicking back big returns, with some of the startups here, jobs being created, folks getting a taste of entrepreneurial, experience and then going on and founding new things and it becomes a virtuous cycle. And that type of mindset, I think, is very powerful in terms of what we think about we're moving forward with as a community. And an exciting part of this too is that the greatest concentration of that high growth entrepreneurial activity overlays with the district that we're talking about here, whether it be in the Seneca One building, in, Fountain Plaza, where Simonelli has multiple properties. We're pushing up against the medical campus on the top end of downtown where you have so much innovation as well. And that's a lot of what I'm excited about being able to be in my current role for is to harness all of that mindset and entrepreneurial approach and to engage those audiences, make sure they have great experiences, uh, not just in their work life, but in their evenings and weekends as well. And that they're constantly, funneling that mindset and energy into downtown's future.
Great. And Berlin, when you're choosing cities that you really want to like go deep in, how important is it for Pivot and for you to have champions in the city who, obviously within a company, the ambassadors are helpful, but when you connect with the larger community, how important is that to the success of companies utilizing your platform?
It's extremely important. And if the most of the time, because we predominantly work with Fortune 1000 companies, especially in their major headquarters, they do a lot to really ingrain themselves into the community because it's important that they're supported and have a presence, not just in the community, in the cities, but also sometimes with the universities nearby. So one of our, many of our clients that have talent shortages will go to nearby universities and they'll, go so far as to donate buildings and create programs to be a funnel for talent. So it's very important. But what Peter was talking about before, it makes it twice as important for retention, because you want it to be attractive for people to say yes to the opportunity, and then for those to, be able to pursue their purposes outside of work. And so it's really, really important for the companies. And then Danielle, as you know, during COVID, when everyone stopped moving, we actually worked with the city of Tulsa. That was, paying remote workers $10,000 to move in order to promote and increase the economy. And we work directly with Tulsa in order to work with the city and to help with connection and retention. And we were able to see, right, the real impact of really focusing on that, just as we do with corporates, working on it from a city perspective. And the more ingrained you are in the community and the more the people understand how to make the most of it and take their lives from where they were before and integrate that into their new home, it just goes so far.
It's great. And so,
Also was a great case study. We actually talked about it within our focus groups in 21 and 22 coming out of it, and Tulsa was brought up so many times. So it's exciting that you were a part of that because the country took notice.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a real privilege. What they're doing over there is really impressive.
we might have to take notes and implement some of that. But there's a chicken and an egg tension for city vitality. Workers come when amenities exist and there's a vibrant downtown, but the amenities come when there's workers here. How, probably for Peter and Kyle first, how are you threading that needle? And like who has to sort of move first to sort of solve this problem?
You want first, Peter? You want me?
Go ahead.
So, Pete's going to play a large role in this because I think the immediate thing that you can do in today's day and age, because it takes a long time to rehab buildings or build buildings and bring new permanent people into the city, is program the city differently. And I think that's where we're really excited to have Pete come in. And I think about when I was growing up, there was no one living downtown, and we hung out downtown all the time. There was Thursday in the Square. There was Gus Smacker. There were so many cool things going down, and everybody would come in from around the region and come downtown for these cool new ideas and this fun. And that was again when we had no apartments down here. So we're already starting from a little bit more of an advantage. And I think where I'm really excited is for Pete and his team to come in and come up with those new creative ideas to bring again the people from the suburbs and so forth downtown. Now, in the meantime, while that's happening, what we're working on is trying to diversify downtown more with the actual product of live, work, and play. I know it's such a cliche as at this point, but it's real. I mean, people want walkability, they want retail, they want reliable public transportation. A lot of the majority of the people that you're recruiting from other cities and that are younger want the option to be able to walk to work. And we don't have a lot of that downtown. Thankfully, we have affordability in our suburbs, which is a huge attraction. I know a lot of people with younger families would move home because they can afford a great house. Thankfully, we have Elmwood Village and Hurdle, which give that sort of West Villagey vibe to Buffalo that a lot of the younger workers will ultimately end up moving to and then driving in downtown for work. But I think where we really need to take that next step is on the back end of Peter reprogramming the city, us getting more permanent density back into the city and building more permanent entertainment venues, looking at better ways we can influence and bring the AKG art stuff from North Buffalo down into as an idea, how we can revitalize the waterfront even more than it currently is and fill those acres of empty parking lots that are outside the arena all day, all week long. So that's sort of the twofold way I see of how we fix this.